Hey friends, I decided to do a video today that I actually wanted to post on Instagram as well and on Facebook. If the video carries on too long, obviously it'll be on my YouTube channel because that's where it's meant to go. But I had quite a moment this weekend where I've come to a few realizations in terms of myself, as well as individuals, as humans, as well as women. I went to a festival this weekend and it was amazing. I love going to these type of events purely because you kind of like lose your identity, if you like. Everybody, is there for the same reasons, to have a good time and just to let your hair down. It was a very intimate affair. There wasn't many people. It was by invites only, so as far as safety is concerned, it was very, very controlled. And we were obviously very, very careful. But throughout the weekend, we arrived there on Friday and left late Sunday evening or afternoon, early evening. And what I've come to realize is that, first of all, about me, and I bring this up so I can get it out of the way, but also to kind of admit to the fact that I sometimes really get it completely wrong. I have come to this realization whilst I was there. A lot of people were dressed in such a fashion that there was a lot of their bodies, like, it's very revealing clothing, if you like. It was a trance festival and it was colorful and beautiful, but a lot of people, especially the women, were dressed in practically brooks, like knickers and a top, or no top, with see-through material over it. And none of them actually gave a shit. Which is, the irony about this is that that's the way we want it, isn't it? That's the way I always talk about it. But the funny thing about it is that it made me realize that a lot of people are actually like that. A lot of people don't give a flying fuck what they do or dress like, and they are comfortable. Perhaps it is in the scenario, perhaps it is in the environment that we were in, that they felt safe enough to do so. But I kind of came to realize that often I talk about how people judge and how people don't allow that freedom, how you are not always allowed as such to dress the way that you want to dress. If you want to, go without a top, you go without a top. And perhaps it is, I'm talking from my own experience, perhaps it is I feel that I get judged, that things get said to me as an individual. Maybe it's the environment that I actually live in from a day-to-day life, living in the northern suburbs of Joburg, but even before, when I was in the eastern suburbs of Joburg, or even in London, you kind of felt that people were judgmental. People were looking at you like, what are you doing, But I felt almost like this weekend, my eyes were open to the fact that people don't in general actually think that way. I think you, as a human, are more judgmental on yourself, and that reflects, you kind of think, because I think this of myself, maybe of something that was said once or twice by one or two people, you presume everybody thinks that way. You start judging yourself and you start nitpicking everything yourself and unpack it. And then you start thinking everybody else seems to think the same way. Maybe it's just me being really hard on myself. Maybe somebody said somewhere something along the lines of, why would you go out like that? And that is stuck. And every time I would personally go out in a sense where I show a little bit of skin, I become very aware of people looking. And perhaps they're not looking for the same reason that person would have said, why would you go out like that? Maybe they are looking because of my tattoos, which I know is an attraction, but it could be anything. But yeah, I'm sitting thinking, those people are likely to judge me, and why are people like that, and why is society like that? And we don't actually know that. Meantime, those people are possibly nudists themselves, or they possibly is looking for freedom themselves. I don't know. That was one of my random thoughts. I don't know, what do you think? Do you think that people get judged? I mean, a lot of my following always say, fuck what everybody else thinks, I like being naked. So I can only presume that maybe it's just a reflection of what I think, and people around me. Maybe we've become so accustomed to thinking or worrying what other people might be thinking that we don't have a clue what they think. We're just concerned because maybe our parents have told us not to do a certain thing, and we went into our grown-up adult lives thinking that everybody would probably judge us for it because of something that our parents said. So I don't know, that's food for thought. That was one of my thoughts. My second thing was, myself and my friend came across a girl talking to her girlfriend in the bathroom, moaning and bitching about how she hates putting on makeup. She hates putting on makeup, and how she hates that it's expected of her. How her mom always says, you should wear makeup more often because you would look then beautiful. And obviously myself and Scarlett jumped to this saying, you're allowed to be whoever the fuck you want to be. Wear what you want to wear. Do what you want to do. You don't have to be, you don't have to wear makeup to be beautiful. But that also led me again to think of the fact that we've got all these stupid expectations of what people say that we shouldn't do growing up, wearing a certain type of clothing because that's what girls do, that's what women do, or sitting a certain way because that's what women are supposed to be doing, doing certain things because that's a general exception or general expectation from everybody else, from our past generations, from our parents, from our friends, from humanity and society. Is that what we do go through on a day-to-day basis? Is that we are so hard on ourselves that we think that is what is expected? I think if I was to, again, and I can only speak for myself because that is from my own personal experience, is I've never actually cared. I must be honest with you, I've actually never really cared. The one thing that I can say that I was always very unhappy about was my flat chest. And I went to spend a lot of money to get implants done because that affected my self-esteem. And since I had my breasts done, I cannot tell you how it's changed my life. I've never done it for anybody else other than myself. And I think it comes down to masculinity and femininity. I've got very strong features, and I always believed that without my breasts, at the time when I looked in the mirror, I felt very masculine. And breasts, because I'm also very straight and narrow hips and body, the breasts made all the difference to me, and it helped my self-esteem. If something like that would help you, do it. However, things that is expected, like long hair or short hair, lashes, big lips, small lips, makeup, why do we feel that is expected of us, and why do we go out of our ways to do that unless it actually makes you feel beautiful? If it doesn't make you feel beautiful, or if it doesn't actually add any value to who you are as a human, why would we have or set those expectations or put those expectations on ourselves? Because surely that's just extra unnecessary pressures. And as it is, we live in such a dynamic and fast-paced environment and generation and world, and it's going even faster and busier, and there's more and more coming our way every day. Why do we put these stupid little expectations of wearing makeup? That also extends to the fact that I think another friend of mine confided in me this morning, stating that her husband made a comment like that, why don't you wear makeup more often? And you kind of feel like, why should you? If you're comfortable enough not wearing makeup, why should you? And why is there that expectation from a partner? Does it actually make you more beautiful? Does it change you as a human or an individual? I'm not taking away from the fact that does make you perhaps as a person maybe feel a little prettier, a little bit of lippy or a shine or high heels. I mean, flip, I love high heels. I love, love, love high heels. I would wear them every day. I love having my lashes done, because on the days that I don't wear makeup, which is quite often, I'll have you know, I don't have to wear makeup. I just have my lashes, and I feel, when I look in the mirror, I feel great. You know, you don't need to put in anything else. And it's got nothing to do with the expectations of that is what makes you beautiful. I think it's an individual thing, and I think there shouldn't be an expectation of anybody doing that unless they really feel like that it would make them as an individual feel better. So those are my thoughts on that. I think, what would you say? I mean, would you agree? Do you agree with the fact that women should dress up and put makeup on? I'm pretty sure that a lot of people would agree with me. I walked once in a big retail shopping center straight after gym, and I had short shorts on. And if you follow me, which you do, but if you've been following me for a while, you'll see that, especially in summer, I still wear very little clothing, because I feel fabric around my skin I find it very claustrophobic. And it is perhaps a psychological thing, and maybe that's why it's easier for me to be naked all the time. But that specific day I came from gym and I had short shorts on, and I was upstairs in the clothing department, and I walked past a couple with one child. I presume that was their child. They were young enough to be their child. And the lady made a little noise, and she said, well, I guess wait until she has children. She won't be looking like that then, and walking in short shorts like after then. And I thought, you know what? I turned around and I said to her, I've had 2 children. And I smiled. And the husband kind of felt, you know, the need to try and stifle his laugh, which I found amusing. But I kind of found it sad that a woman that she seemed, when I turned over to look at her, slightly younger than me, made herself feel better about perhaps how she's looking, about trying to put me down, and have the excuse of having children as allowing herself to feel better. You know, she doesn't have to look after herself because she's had children. So that comes down back to the point that I've just made about the makeup and how you dress and all of that. If you feel comfortable in your skin, not working out, being perhaps fuller in figure, then dude, you fucking go for it. You be you. You own it. You own every single fucking minute of it. But don't you dare turn around and use it as an excuse and say, it's because I've had children, and wait until somebody that is in shape has children, because then they won't look that way. Because it comes down to looking after yourself. It comes down to not necessarily training as hard as the next person, but you know, if you really give a fuck, you would make an effort somewhere. And that is for yourself, not for anybody else, not for the husband, not for your partner, not for your children, not for whatever belief you've got. It's for yourself. And if it makes you feel better to be in a certain shape, then you should fucking do it, and you should own it. Don't make excuses for it though. Don't make excuses. Own it. Own every single little ounce of yourself. Because when it comes down to it, you're the only person that looks back at yourself in the mirror. And you're the only person that can likely judge yourself. People can say whatever they want to say, but you're going to have to sleep with your own conscience and your own thoughts. And that brings me back to what I initially said, I suppose. You know, is it that from a personal point of view, I judge myself sometimes, thinking that people don't like to see skin. And that's maybe why I have such a voice about it, which I've had a chat with my one friend, and she says to me, I must just stop, you know, explaining to people why I'm naked all the time. I don't have to do that. I have a I suppose vision of inviting people and inspiring people to be themselves as often and as more likely than any other time to just be themselves now, without excuses, unapologetically, and to stop judging themselves and stop reflecting that of other people. And I suppose I'm talking to myself as well. You know, screw what other people think, we always say, but when it comes down to it, what do you think? What do you say to yourself in the mirror? And if you like yourself, then who cares what other people say and think? I'm very excited. I've got quite a few projects that I'm working on, and as we go through this journey of social media, you'll find out about it. But as you would know, I'm very, very big on empowerment, human empowerment, women empowerment. I'm working on a beautiful project where me as a photographer, not me as a model, would like to start capturing more and more women and the essence of women in a safe environment, sensually, erotically, beautifully. So watch this space. But lesson learned, and I wanted to share that with everybody. I wanted to share that with you all because it does affect who I am, and hopefully you can get a nugget out of this. Have an amazing Easter. Please be safe.